yes, downstream it, and then the next class, same thing. Okay. Did you do that?
Yeah.
All right. Why'd you get
All right.
Are they though? They just make you roll the eyes. No, they actually are. Thank you. Jonah, right? Jonah. Do you know that Jonah is one of my favorite books in the whole Bible? It's not my favorite book. We're going to talk about my favorite book today. Yeah. I would love. Can you? Thank you, bro. I appreciate that so much. Not gonna lie. I've got to write more stuff than this. Whoa, that didn't work. Let's try that one more time. Because here's the thing. I'm about to connect that confusing stuff up there on the whiteboard with dad jokes for you. You guys are looking at that. Does anybody know what that is up there? Can anybody solve the riddle? You guys ever watched, what's the, Matt Damon and, what's his name? Oh my gosh. Nope. Hold on. Robin Williams and Matt Damon, psychologist. What? Good Will Hunting. Thank you. You guys know the impossible problem that he solved? You guys remember it? You? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay. We'll try to get there. Okay, this is not an impossible problem. I would like you guys to take a minute to a minute and a half using any resource you can. So if you need to go find the basket of doom or death or whatever you want to call it to go get your phone, that's fine. Or if you have a computer with internet access, you could also use that. Can you figure out what that is? Because I know exactly what that is, but it's because I wrote it there. Anybody? Come on. Think hard. You're looking at it, you're like, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, bro. This is too early for these kind of games. Don't do this to me. I appreciate you going to get your phone to look it up, as long as you're not going to check Snapchat or Instagram or whatever it is. Okay, good. Brandon, what's the password to the, that's not the answer to the question, Brandon. Sorry, you set me up. Let me look it up for you. Give me a second. Oh. Okay. Unfortunately, the problem is that in order for me to access the password to the Wi-Fi, I have to know the password to the Wi-Fi. But I have to know the password to 2 other things before I can do that. So it's going to get it. I will get you the password for the, it's just the regular KCF Wi-Fi, right? General use KCF Wi-Fi password is lowercase Proverbs 1-7. Okay, now you have a minute to try and figure this out. Ready? And I'm going to set a timer.
Is it the Rubik's Cube?
No. That's a good try, though. ChatGPT is confused. If I told you that the letters on the top all correspond to colors. Okay, you got that part? Those are the answers. So the blanks are all you have to fill in. You got it? Okay. Talk to me about it, Brock. No, is that cheating if you can actually figure it out? Resources. Using resources properly. What is it? That doesn't work. Nope, that's not it. Chat is hallucinating.
It's a decode resistor color code from the color chart. That's what ChatGPT told me.
From the color, what the?
And then the T1 is T596. Wait, no. Oh,
Yeah, it is wrong.
sorry, that's
Chat is hallucinating. You were close, but chat is hallucinating on you. You're close. But it's not red. I appreciate you trying. So here's what I'm trying to say, and this is coming back to something I told Caleb a week ago. Context is literally everything, always. It's not just, oh, there's my timer. Does anybody else have a guess at what's going on here? That's not a color wheel, but I appreciate you trying. It's a good guess. So, I'll walk over here. If you didn't know what this is, you're not gonna like, and you're like, dude, you gave us an impossible riddle right off the bat. That was kind of the point. I'm not trying to be like a jerk, but I just want to say, like, so chat wasn't off by much, but it was off. It was hallucinating. So if you don't know what that is, RJ45 cable is, anybody? No? That's your standard Ethernet cable. That's the connector at the, you know that thing that plugs into the internet? That's what that connector is. That's what that's called, or RJ45 jack. This right here is the corresponding, this orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. That is the color coordination for that section. There are 8 wires inside of that Ethernet cable, and they're all color coordinated. Orange, white, orange. So there's an orange-white cable that has, it's striped, orange and white. And then there's an orange cable next to it. And then there's a green cable, green-white cable, and a blue cable. A blue-white cable, and a green cable, and then a brown-white cable, and a brown cable. You have to put them in that order as you put them into that RJ45 jack, and that's how you build that cable. Nate's like having an aha moment.
That makes so much sense.
Okay. Does it actually make sense? You're like that. Yeah. Okay, it's just literally what order you put the wires in to put it into the jack to make it all work together. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter what order you put the wires into the jack to make it work, as long as they're the same order on both sides. If they're in different orders on both sides, you're going to send signal the wrong places at the wrong times. Does that make sense? Eden's looking at me like, no, it makes 0 sense whatsoever. You're not making any sense, bro. This is Bible class. Yes, this is Bible class. And you're like, how does this apply to the Bible? You ready for like the biggest, most overarching statement I can give you? All theory is life theory. When you learn something about something, you can use that and apply it to everything else in some way, shape, or form. You want to write this down. It's kind of important. You're going to use this for the rest of your life. I'm not kidding. If you don't write it down, if you don't remember things from writing things down, don't write it down. If it's not like, if you remember things by processing things verbally, please try to process things verbally with me. Yes, what's up?
Could you repeat the part we should write down?
Oh, yes, absolutely. All theory is life theory. All theory is life theory. Everything you learn in life can apply to everything else in some way, shape, or form. You don't have to write down that second part, but that's what it means, right? Do you guys know what the idea of theory is, right? Theory is just the study of something, understanding a concept of how something works. I bring this to you not because I'm like, man, I want to confuse the crap out of Eden right now. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. Eden, I might end up picking on you the whole semester. I'm so sorry, but like that might just be how it goes. The goal is, I want to challenge you guys, because here's the thing. There are going to be a bunch of teachers that come in and give you like a bunch of like factual statements, so you can be like, oh, I believe this about the Bible. I believe this about the Bible. I believe this about the Bible. That's great. The goal is that at some point we realize that being a disciple of Jesus is not the same as knowing facts about Jesus. Yes? If you know all the facts about Jesus and you don't know Jesus, you're bummed. Because there's a whole passage about that, right? Matthew chapter 7, you guys know what I'm talking about? Anybody? Where Jesus is like, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that did miracles in my name. They did all sorts of stuff. And they're going to walk up to me at the end and be like, Lord, we did all these things. He's like, I never knew you. Like, you don't get to come in. And people are going to be like, oh, shh. I can't say what they're going to say, but like that's what they're thinking in their heads, yes? Why? Because they thought all they had to do was know about someone. I'm going to give you another one. So all theory is life theory. All life theory points to asking Jesus questions. Which means, if you take that to the Bible, what you should walk away with as you read the scriptures is not, I have a bunch of answers for a bunch of questions, but I have a bunch of questions to take to the guy that has all the answers. Repeat what?
The all life theory.
Oh, all life theory leads us to Jesus. But not like, oh, the answer, like you guys know the standard Sunday school answer where like someone's like asks a question and everybody guesses Jesus because they're not exactly sure, right? That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is sitting in the riddles that you guys are currently sitting in your life and being like, the Bible doesn't distinctly talk about that riddle that I'm currently sitting in. Or maybe it kind of does, but it's not super clear, or it argues that with itself in places. What do I do with that? And when you get to that point, the life theory you've learned hopefully will bring you to, man, we got to go talk with Jesus about this. I don't know. It can also bring you to, man, who's someone who really smells like Jesus? I wonder what they would say about this. Not like, oh, yuck, they smell like Jesus, right? But like their character reminds me of what I read when I read about Jesus. Finding those people and discipling behind them as you both head towards Jesus, super essential in that process. Context is everything. The context you put yourself in will help you or hurt you, depending on what you do with your time. Yeah? Right now, you're here so that hopefully you can get a grounding, a foundation, set yourself up to have a context that helps you through the course of the rest of your life. That's why we're here. Now, we're going to take not a sharp left-hand turn, but a moderate turn and apply it to something in Scripture that you guys may or may not think you know about the Bible. My favorite book of the Bible is not Jonah, unfortunately. That's my third or fourth favorite book in the Bible. It's okay? That's all right? My favorite book in the Bible is Genesis, and it's not close. And you're like, but it's not the Gospels? No, it's Genesis. Why? Because without Genesis, the Gospels would lack a lot of the meaning that they have. Genesis is the framework that builds the context for the whole of the rest of the Bible. You want context? You got to meditate on something that's going to give you a framework to view all the things around you. Genesis does that. So we're going to try to do that in my class this year. You're going to have a whole bunch of other people that come and talk about things from Genesis, and that will provide different aspects of context. They might not say things that agree with what I say, and you can decide for yourself whether you agree with them, or you agree with me, or you agree with neither of us, and that's totally okay. I'm not expecting you to agree with everything that I say, because you have a different context looking at Genesis than I do. Finley's looking at me like, this is sus. I don't know if I like this guy. Who's the youngest person in this room? Do we know? David? Cool. David. Hey, that's a solid name. That's my middle name. So stoked. Okay. How old are you, David? 17. Perfect. Who's the oldest person in this room aside from myself? Eugene. How old are you?
I am as old as the wheel.
Whoa. Sick.
Times 0 plus 25.
Whoa. Okay, got you. You're 26. Oh, Mary Ellis. Okay. So that means I'm 36. So we're talking about perspectives from different contexts because I'm a decade older than Mariella, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm more right than anyone. What it means is I've had more time to give to whatever I've put my time to. Yes? Okay, good talk. Those are weird statements. Where do we go from here? Let's start talking about an overview of Genesis, because that's probably the right place to go. I want to say right now that there are other people that teach Genesis far better than I do, but unfortunately they teach it in such an expanded view, or like such like intricate views, that we wouldn't be able to watch the class in the lessons that I'd be able to teach you. One of the most challenging and inspiring views on Genesis that I have ever listened to is from a guy. How many of you guys know who the Bible Project is? Yes? Okay. Awesome. I've got a smirk over here from, is it Anna or Anna? Anna, okay. Tim Mackey is a strange character, a wonderfully strange character. Later this year, I think, don't quote me on this, you guys have the schedule too, but the last couple of years we've had John Collins come and teach. Is he coming to teach again? Okay, good. He's not going to teach on Genesis, but it makes me a little bit sad that John Collins isn't coming to teach on Genesis, which is why I'm teaching on Genesis. His view on Genesis has inspired me intensely. He has 7 classes on Genesis online that are master's degree level classes on Genesis. If you really want to take a real deep dive on Genesis, go watch those. And then come talk with me about it, because I want to know what you got inspired to think about from those classes. But here's the thing. Those classes are going to stretch your brain like crazy. Like, I've been studying Genesis for the last... Let me give you a little background. In 2020, I was stuck working in a medical office during COVID, and I was bored. What I was doing was I was transferring physical documents to digital documents. So I was scanning things for literally 5 to 6 hours a day. And so what I would do is stick headphones in my ears and listen to podcasts. Bible Project was one of those podcasts. In that podcast, Tim Mackey challenges John Collins and says, listen, you want a really good foundation for reading the Bible? Read Genesis 50 times in a row. And John Collins says, you're crazy. What are you talking about? That's nuts. Like, can we do like 12 times in a row, or like, like 7 times in a row, something like super biblical like that? And Tim's like, no, you don't understand. Meditation on the scriptures, which if you think about Joshua 1 and Psalm 1, it's like one of these like themes that keeps popping up, is the Bible is meditation literature. It's intended to be meditated on. If you want a foundation for reading the scriptures, go read Genesis 50 times in a row. And you're like, I'm already reading through the Bible this year. That's a ton. Like, let's not do that. Like, that sounds crazy. I took it on as a challenge because I'm like, what else am I going to do? It's COVID, right? I listened to Genesis once a week for a full year. By the 15th time, I was like, I feel like I know this stuff. By the 20th time, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. By the 30th time, I was like, how many of you guys are Star Wars nerds? Any Star Wars nerds in the room? I need to go home and rethink my life. Yes? Okay. Okay. It's from episode 2. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Those ones are kind of worth watching. More worth watching than the sequels, but definitely not as much worth watching as the originals. We'll talk about that later. By the time I got to the 50th time of reading through Genesis, I didn't want to read another book of the Bible for a very, very, very long time. And I just wanted to keep reading Genesis. Why? Because it turns in that, which sounds like gibberish, into everything is a riddle in Genesis that is like 85 layers deep. And I have touched 1 to 2 of the layers after studying it for 5 years. Does that make sense? Now, what I'm not saying is don't go read the rest of the Bible. That's important. What I'm not saying is don't listen to any of the other teachers, because they're going to talk about other books of the Bible and that doesn't matter. No. What I'm saying is, when you start to get a little grasp of what Genesis is talking about, all of a sudden your brain will feel... how many of you guys have had like a real aha moment while reading the Bible? Like a super big, like, whoa, that was super deep. Or someone has done that with, yes? Okay, like full show of hands. Like, be willing to admit if you have, and if you haven't, that's fine. It's totally okay. Okay, how cool was that feeling? Do you want to feel like you have that feeling literally every time you sit down to read the scriptures? Go meditate on Genesis 50 times in a row. And every time you go to the scriptures, no matter where you will go, you will get about 5 words in, and then you'll be like, holy crap, this is amazing. I don't know. How did I not see that earlier? Dang it. That's so cool. I'm so stoked. Okay? That's why I want to meditate on Genesis. Does that make sense? How much time do we have? I don't even know if we're going to get very far today. Okay. With that in mind, I want us to start with just being aware of our context currently, where we are as we come to Genesis for the first time, together, right? Some of you have read Genesis a whole bunch of times already in your life. Yes? Who feels like they're familiar with Genesis already? 1, 2, 3. Anna's got a cheat code because she already listened to Bible Project. So, Brandon's got a cheat code because we went through Genesis together in 2021. How many of you guys feel like Genesis is like, kind of feels like gibberish to me? You can be honest. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, yes, Hannah! Woohoo! I'm glad you're willing to admit it. It still feels like gibberish to me sometimes. Okay. How many of you are like, Genesis? What? Why would I read that book? No? Anybody? Nobody's willing to admit that. Guys, Caleb, thank you. Someone's honest. I want honesty. More background on me. I'm a mental health counseling intern. I'm almost done my master's degree in mental health counseling. Honesty in my class is valued almost above everything else. If you have an honest question and you feel like it's a dumb question, ask it anyway, and I will be so stoked that you asked that question. Okay? This is a safe space to ask the real questions. If it's not, it gets really hard to be really honest about what we're confused or stuck on. Yeah? Cool. Did he bring those markers in?
Yeah,
They're on the other side of the whiteboard. I have a question for y'all. Oh. There's a green one. Is it a real? Nope, this one sucks. Never mind. If I draw a picture of this, and then this is going to be really rough, but bear with me. And then Greenland, and then like Europe over here, and Africa over here, and Antarctica down here, right? But like, okay, it's rough, yeah? What is that? But is that the Earth, actually? What is it, actually? A drawing of the Earth. Okay. Does it represent the Earth? Is it accurate? Thank you. I appreciate that honesty. It's a terrible drawing of the Earth. It is not accurate, but it is a representation, and you kind of knew what I was talking about. Yes? Okay. When you think about the world as it is or as you imagine it to be, I want us to all be aware that what we think about as the earth and the heavens and the waters is not what the Bible is describing it to be. There's a very interesting idea, and you're not going to be quizzed on this part later, but like, I'm not going to quiz you guys on much at all. I might ask a few questions here and there, but most of it will be in good fun. Have you guys ever heard of the term chronological snobbery? Does it sound like an interesting term or like something that someone would say in a conversation that you would never be in? Probably the latter. C.S. Lewis used that term. Do you guys know who C.S. Lewis is? Super brilliant author from like the 30s to the 60s, right? Okay. Chronological snobbery says, if you think about that word, chronological is like time-based, and snobbery is like I'm better than the other person, right? Because we are further along in the time-space continuum, we think we are better than people who wrote things long ago. It is a bias that is inherently with us as we read the scriptures, unless, and we don't often recognize it until we recognize it. And as soon as we recognize it, we can be aware of it and stop ourselves when we're like, but that's not actually how it is. Maybe that is how it is, or at least that's how the author perceived it to be as they wrote it down. And I need to see it from their point of view rather than my point of view, as I'm reading it for at least the first time. So, here's what I would like to do. Today, we're going to try to read Genesis 1 and maybe Genesis 2 in the next 20 minutes. What I would like us to do is acknowledge that there's going to be moments where our chronological snobbery comes in. that there is context that we don't quite have, that we want to get to, and then to let the Bible ask us questions as we read through it. Because that's what it's going to do, is it's going to force us to ask questions that hopefully lead us straight to the feet of Jesus. Yes? Let's read Genesis chapter 1. I'm going to be reading out of the NASB. That does not mean you need to read out of the NASB. I would actually prefer, if you read out of a different version, please read out of that version. If you see something that looks strangely different than what I am saying, stop me and be like, bro, that is not what it says in my translation. Because then we can talk about it. But that also means that we're probably not going to get through Genesis 1 and 2 today because it's far too interesting to get through it in one sitting in 20 minutes. So we're going to try, and we're going to stop, and then we're going to pick back up somewhere along the way next time. Does that make sense? Okay, let's do this. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was wild and waste, and darkness was over the surface or the face of the deep. And the breath of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, one day. Then God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." And God made the expanse and separated the waters which were below the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse. And it was so. And God called the expanse heaven, or the skies. And there was evening, and there was morning, a second day. Then God said, "Let the waters below the heavens be gathered into one place, and let dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, okay, can we pause right there? Oh, no, we'll keep going. Let's go till the end of the third day. That's fine. And God called the... I said that one already. Let's keep going. Let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit after their kind, with seed in them, on the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit... plants yielding seed after their kind, and trees bearing fruit. Sorry, guys, I got lost for a second. With seed in them, after their kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a third day. We're going to pause there. What are you guys noticing? Anything? It can seem like it's super ridiculous or simple or dumb, or it can seem like it's the most complex thing you've ever understood before. Brandon's got a thought?
That's good for me. It's always like trying to think or imagine like how before the earth was formed, like just what it would have been.
Wild and waste. Yeah. Other things that you guys are noticing. Okay, so we got, I don't know who is first between Emma and Anna. Okay, Emma, go ahead.
It was all good and God only created good.
Can I present to you guys something that my bias told me before I started actually reading the Bible this way? Long ago in a galaxy far, far away, not Star Wars, I used to think that if we could just get back and see what it was like when God was doing this, we could see what perfection looked like. What I'm noticing about this passage is that the word perfection is never used. Things were not perfect, not even on the first 3 days. They were good. Is there a difference between good and perfection? Yes. Are there different words in Hebrew for perfection and goodness? Absolutely. So if they used the word good, were they meaning perfect? Probably not. Why did I think it was perfect? I don't know. But the word good keeps getting mentioned, doesn't it, Emma? Okay, Anna, your question or thought.
So a lot of people think it's like exactly in 7 days, and so like it could take it like a month to do one thing. Just thinking, taking it not literally but figuratively.
Or at least being open to either or. Yeah. Yes, Mariella.
I think it's interesting, like, I learned this back in high school, but, like, when it says God created,
Yeah.
like, that could have, like, there could be years in between.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, God created the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
There could be
Yeah,
a number of years.
there could be.
between those
Absolutely.
years.
Yep. Can I bring another thing to, I guess, with what you're saying and with what Anna was saying, bring it back around to, is that the earth? I have people nodding and I have people shaking their heads. It's a drawing of the world. The author of Genesis is not required to tell us anything. The author of Genesis gets to tell us exactly what they want to tell us. Their building of the world does not have to be how we see the world. So we think the world is built in 7 literal days. Did the author say that? Maybe. We think the world might have been built in millions of years. Did the author say that or not say that? Not really. He never really addressed it. I spent a lot of my time in high school, middle school, arguing with people about how the earth was made and how long it took. I spent a lot of time in college, like being like, nah, yeah, it's got to be this way or the other way. And then I realized that the author of Genesis wasn't a scientist. He was an author. He's not trying to write a science manual. He's not trying to write a mathematician's thing. He is an artist writing artwork. And he's working with God on it. That's a distinct advantage. Yeah? Okay. You guys ready to keep reading? Okay, let's keep reading. Whoops. Sorry. Onward. After the third day, we're in verse 14. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens, and to separate the day from the night. And let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. And let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens, to give light on the earth." And it was so. And God made the 2 great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He made the stars also. Can we pause there for 2 seconds? Why didn't he say sun and moon? Anybody know? Anna? No? Do you guys know that the Hebrew word for sun and moon is the same word that they use in Egypt for the sun and moon god? There's some context you didn't know. And so kind of as a slight, to be like, no, these are not the gods you're thinking of. These are greater lights and lesser lights to rule the day and the night. Now, they're still rulers. That's an interesting phrasing. You're good, Sarah. All good. I just dropped my headphones on the ground. We're both there. They're still rulers in the skies. What does that mean? From an ancient Near Eastern perspective, did they think the stars and the sun and the moon were like spiritual beings? Yeah, they did. That's weird. Do we need to think that they're spiritual beings? I have no idea. If I let go of my bias, I don't know what to think. Because my bias says, no, they're not. They're just like balls of gas or like a collection of rock up there, right? I watch the moon rotate around the earth every night. That's not like a spiritual being. But they didn't think that. Some people worship those things. That's a context that I need to be aware of as I'm reading this. Right? Not because like, like I'm so smart. No, it's because it's going to inform how the rest of this book goes. It's going to inform how reading the rest of the scriptures goes. They're going to mention things in the English and in the Hebrew that are going to hint at the sun god and the moon god and conversations they're having. Like, you know that Baal, like when the Israelites are dealing with all the Baal worshipers, right? Like Elijah's day. Anybody know those stories? Yeah? Like Mount Carmel, prophets of Baal. Baal's the Philistine sun god. Oh, interesting. That's kind of important. There's a lot of details that are connecting back and forth. We'll keep going. I'm sorry. I get distracted. All right. 17. And God placed them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. So wait, is God the one separating light from darkness, or are these other heavenly bodies separating light from darkness? The correct answer is yes. Does that make sense? Okay. And God saw that it was what? Good. Wait, so those spiritual beings that are, those are good beings up there? Because they're not talking about the rocks. They're talking about the spiritual beings of these people, the beings that are separating the light from the darkness. And that's what the author's thinking about. He's writing this. That's what the Israelites are hearing when they're listening to this. Oral tradition, right? And there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. Then God said, let the waters teem with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth in the open expanse of the heavens. And God created the great sea monster and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarmed after their kind, and every winged bird after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Do I have any fantasy adventure novel readers or D&D players or anything that? Okay. You guys want to, at some point in time, we'll have to sit and talk about dragons in the Bible. That was the first mention of a dragon in the Bible, but it doesn't get mentioned in English, only in the Hebrew. Nate's like, what the heck are you talking about, bro? That great sea creature? The Latin translation for that Hebrew word is drakon. The great sea dragon. That is literally what that is in other languages. And you're like, wait, what? No. So wait, we filled the heavens with the greater light, lesser light. We filled the seas and the skies. Day 4 and day 5, right? And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning, the 5th day. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures after their kind, cattle and creeping things, and the beasts of the earth and after their kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after their kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creeps on the ground after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. And God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. Wait, be fruitful and multiply. Didn't I just hear that? Like one or two other times, right? No. The plants were just bearing fruit. And then he told the birds and the fish to be fruitful and multiply, right? We're repeating things now. This author is deciding that repeating things is fun. We've seen, and God saw that it was good. And we've seen, and there was evening and there was morning. We've seen a whole bunch. Where else are you guys seeing these things? Anything else you guys are seeing that gets repeated? We got the, and it was so, right? There's a whole bunch of little repeated phrases. This author is trying to train us on how to read this book by writing the book. You want to get really meta? Books train you on how to read them. Books that just want facts only give you the facts. Books that want to train you to read a different way will read a different way. Yes? Okay, continuing on. Sorry. Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, but now it changes. He twists it. And subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Interesting. Then God said, behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree which has fruit yielding seed. It shall be food for you. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the sky, and to everything that moves on the earth, which has life, I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. It gets repeated again. And God saw all that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a 6th day. How many days have we been through? What did we do in those days? Can we? We're just not even going to get to the next. So, fun story. We're at day 6. You guys know that there are 7 days, right? To a week, but also 7 days to the story of creation. Yes? Let's see if we can get, we'll get through verse 4 and then we'll okay. 2 verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed, and all their hosts. Well, that's an interesting summary. And by the seventh day, God completed the work which he had done. Didn't they just say that? Like, we literally did, okay, all right, you're repeating it. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Was God tired? Doesn't say. Why did God rest? We don't know. Then God blessed the seventh day. He's blessed things before. Interesting. And sanctified it. He didn't do that before. What does that mean? We got to figure out what sanctifying something means. Well, we got to keep reading, I guess. Because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. And then we get to verse 4, where it says, this is the account of the heavens and the earth, when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the heaven and the earth. Here's the funny part about that. Is that the end of the section we just read, or is that the beginning of the next section? The answer is yes. You want some more context? Hebrew authors write in a form called chiasm. Does anybody know what chiasm is? Chiasm goes like this, and you've heard it before because musicians tend to use this. Either it goes like this. Opening, section A, section B, section C. Section A, slightly different. Section B, slightly different. Section C, slightly different. Or they'll go section A, section B, section C, section B, section A. And so there'll be an ending after section A the second time. Oh. And you're like, why is that important? Well, because it will tell you which sections are connected to which. It will also challenge you because you're like, but no, that was connected to the last section. Or is it connecting forward? Or, dang it, I get to meditate on this some, I guess. I don't have enough context yet. Okay, we've got like 5 minutes left. Thoughts or questions that you guys are having thus far? I see eyebrows raising and people being like, that was way too much. I feel like I just drank from a fire hose. What's going on? Was that the thought going through your head? Not so much? No? Juju? That was it? That was the thought? More, just a little bit? Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Yes, in the back.
In verse 1, like it says all their hosts.
Yes. Thank you for asking that question. That's a fantastic question. A host is typically a grouping of individuals. So, the heavens and the earth were completed, and all the things that filled them. Do you notice that? Day 1, what did God make? Light. Not just light, though. He also made dark, yeah? Or separated the light from the darkness, right? But that was like an area. And what did he call it? He called it good, but hang on. I'm back up. And there was, yeah, that's all he said. Day and night. Okay. Okay, 2. What do you make on day 2? No, on day 2 he made an expanse. Between what? No, the expanse was the heavens, but what was the expanse separating? Right, so in the waters, he said, I'm going to take all these crazy chaos waters, I'm going to go like this, boop, and there's be something in there. So he made the heavens, right? Wait, but weren't the heavens in the beginning of verse 1? Or is that the declaration of this is kind of how it happened and we hadn't gotten actually to how heavens were created? The answer is yes. 3, what do you make on day 3? Dry land. Now, are there a whole bunch of other... Do you notice that there's another word that gets used in all 3 of these, right? I think. Hang on. Just want to check on dry land. Where's the end of day 2? Why can't I see? Verse 8? Thank you. Sometimes when you're scanning really fast and the coffee's finally hitting, you're just like, brrr. He doesn't say the same word, but he does it. Interesting. Do you notice that God separates something on each of those days? Right? There's day separate from night. He separates the waters from the waters on day 2, and then he separates the waters from the dry land on day 3, right? There's separation happening. So we've got all these patterns that are appearing and showing up. Words are showing up repeatedly, like we were talking about with, and it was so, right? Or, and God saw that it was good, right? All these patterns are showing up over and over again. One of the things that God keeps doing is separating stuff. And then he makes space. So he makes space, which are the heavens, in the waters, and he makes space in the waters for the dry land. And then on day 4, what does he make? Vegetation. Where's the vegetation go? On the earth. That's right. Vegetation. Wait, that's not day 4, guys. Hold on. Back up. Back up. What are we doing? He makes the greater light and the lesser light on day 4, doesn't he? Yeah. Okay. So, greater, lesser. 5. He puts what? Sea monster, birds, fish, yes? Yeah. Says be fruitful and multiply? All right. Six. What does he make? Plants, animals. It's mostly animals, yeah? And then humans, right? Oh, yes.
And this it says on the 3rd day, let the earth sprout.
Oh, it is on the 3rd day. Huh. It's on the 3rd day. That makes sense. So hang on. These go here.
The 2nd day is dry.
Yeah. Oh. You're probably right. I just read it too fast.
Because it says the 2nd day and then there's a paragraph 9.
Yeah. The waters above the waters, and it was so. And God called the expanse heavens, and there was evening, morning, a 2nd day. The waters below the heavens, so it's after the 2nd day that he, so wait. Back up, Anna.
I said it was the same day.
The earth is the same day as the plants, yes? Is that what you're trying to express?
No, that he separated the heavens and then the dry land. That's just how I separated the heavens from the land, or the waters.
Yes, and let dry land appear. So dry land appears on day 3.
Day 3.
Yes. Okay. Right. Notice, though, okay, you're right on the plants. We'll cross that out. Plants go here. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, dry land and plants. Plants don't go here. I was wrong on that one. I just am assuming and running too fast. Okay. You notice that, back to your question, these days, he makes spaces. These days, he fills those spaces. And God made the heavens and the earth, and was using the waters, and their host. Their hosts. All the things that were filling it, right? That's the summary. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Good talk. Great question. Some of you are like, man, this is a lot. I don't know if I can deal with this guy. He talks way too fast, and he's all over the place, and sometimes he gets his stuff wrong. If I get stuff wrong, Anna, thank you for correcting me on that. I don't want to be wrong. And if I mess something up, I would like to be corrected. I'm not trying to steer you in the wrong direction. Yeah? Okay. The book is going to try to teach you how to read it. Having other teachers along the way is helpful, but just meditating on it over and over and over again will teach you a ton along the way. Yeah? The other thing is, this is the same book that Jesus meditated on as he was growing up. When he talked about things like this, people looked at him and were like, this dude's nuts. Why is he teaching? And it's like making sense. And everything. Do you guys remember the part where he's like walking with the disciples who were like, thought he was dead, back from Emmaus, right? Back to Emmaus, right? and he's explaining the entire law and the prophets to them about how the Christ had to come and be sacrificed and then raised from the dead, right? Do you guys know that story? Some of you are like, yeah, I know that story. Some of you are like, what are you talking about? Okay, there's this awesome story after Jesus raised from the dead. And he appears to people along the road. And he's talking to them. And he explains, literally, they just summarize. He explains all of the Hebrew scriptures to these disciples. And they're like, weren't our hearts on fire as he was explaining this stuff to us? That was amazing. And then he breaks bread with them. And then he disappears. Like he just apparates for Harry Potter fans. And they're like, what just happened? And then they run back to Jerusalem. It's a 7-mile run. And go tell everybody, wait, I think we just saw Jesus. And it's enough that they're like, this is the most fantastic. Someone finally explained the scriptures in a way that makes sense, and it's blowing our minds. If you come to the scriptures and you walk away from it and you're like, that didn't blow my mind, we're doing something wrong. Okay? So if your mind is not blown, or if you're too tired, that's okay. Like sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is take a nap. Like that's okay. But when you come to the scriptures, if you come to the scriptures and it's not like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever, either Jesus is wanting us to be bored at this section, or we're doing something wrong. Yes? Okay. So I highly look forward to reading Genesis with you guys, meditating on it, and hopefully it changes our context for how we read the rest of the scriptures and how we follow Jesus. That's the goal. Cool? You guys ready to do that for the rest of the semester? Okay. Oh, okay.
That's a bad joke.
No, you're good. You're good. It was great. I was like, wait, is he serious? And then you said it's a bad joke. I'm like, that was a great joke. I appreciate the sarcasm. That's great. Let's pray, and then let's be done. Is that cool? Here we go. God, your word is living and active. It's sharper than a double-edged sword. And it's supposed to get to our hearts. It's supposed to expose who we are to ourselves. Help it do that to us today. We want to get to know you better. We want to sit with you. We want to ask you questions. We want to get to know everything there is to know about you. And we look forward to doing that for the rest of our lives. Help us keep doing that in this next hour. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, friends.
What was the name of the person that had the videos, the 7 videos?
Oh, Bible Project you're talking about. Bible Project. They will literally, you will walk away from, they have videos, which are